Special good morning to our listeners and viewers. It's to the point for today, Monday, the 2nd day of June, 2025. Good morning to one and all once again, especially those you via our social media platforms, Facebook page, YouTube channels. Good morning and welcome. I'm your host, GT, with you this morning, alongside Mr. Sylvan McIntyre. Welcome, sir. Good morning, good morning. I mean, I apologize for last week.
No, yeah, that's good. That's good. Don't apologize, because Innocent said that you wish to stay up a bit more often.
All right.
You want to take a program, you know?
Yeah, it seems so. This morning he telling me I stay in today again, but I say I'm here.
You see? Exactly. But yeah, man, that was cool. I know you had some commitments last week.
It was all right. Yeah. So how you doing, sir? How you doing?
Well, I am doing good. I'm doing better. Yes, I had some nice achievements over the last couple of days, over the weekend and so. Something that personally made me feel, good about myself.
All right.
And emotionally more uplifted.
Good.
Despite all of the different challenges. God has given me the ability and everything else, the tenacity to be able to rise above circumstances.
Good. So I mean, once you feel good about yourself, that's one of the most important things.
Of course.
There are a lot of individuals who are, popping up and about this morning, and for some reason they're not happy about themselves.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And maybe they're looking for that attention from someone else to give it. But you are the one that'll make that particular decision. Hey, feel good about yourself, and you will see everything else just take that direction that you're going at.
Great.
That feeling.
And sometimes some of the things that make you feel good is when you are able to feel a sense of contributing towards life, the human development, national resource, and I think within the last couple of days, I was able to be contributing particularly to the youth, which is one of the people we're going to give some flowers to this morning when we start speaking. But that made me feel a great sense of achievement, because when I can contribute something to the development of the human resource or otherwise,
I always feel like I do that in some way. I mean, I'm contributing some way when I'm on radio.
Yes.
But that in-person vibe, I'm not good at that.
Right.
The in-person aspect of things.
Yeah.
Not everybody is good at that.
Yeah.
I'm back behind the microphone, behind the camera, but then, that in-person part of things, it's not the kind of thing I'm good at.
Right.
So you're probably ahead of me there a long way.
But the thing about it is that once you find your calling, your niche, you contribute in the area where you are, because I can't do what you do, to be honest. And you make your own contribution in a lot of small ways. Sometimes I come into the studio, we have a conversation, and I learn from you. And I get from you in that kind of, when we speak on behind the cameras, behind the scene, we speak about what you do in terms of technically, electronically, and otherwise your skill in that area. I admire you. I mean, it inspires me and think about, wow, these guys go up to get the antennas sorted out, to get this thing fixed, to get communication moving back and forth. It's something that not a lot of people have.
Yeah.
And if you are able to contribute anything towards communication, because communication is one of our greater challenges in life.
Yes.
Even in relationships. And if any way you can contribute to making communication better, you're a hero.
You think of it that way?
Yes, of course.
I probably defer to you in that part of it. The communication with people. I defer to you in that.
Well, it could be one-on-one.
I see
maybe
sometimes where
one-on-one.
You ever sit at the table with someone next door and they text you instead of saying, hey, good morning. They say good morning.
Yeah, well, that aspect of it is...
That aspect of communication, I think I differ with your partner.
Oh, yeah, that's... I give you a win on that one.
That aspect of communication, I defer with it. I sometimes have my little sons, they would be just upstairs the house.
Yeah.
But send me a message downstairs.
Yeah.
They could have come down and said that he this and that. They prefer to send you a message.
But you know what?
But it's all good still, huh? It's all good still. But that in-person part of it plays a bigger role.
And every day as I grow older, as I grow out of my era and get into the new one, I realize that it becomes different more and more, and you have to find a way of marrying the two areas that you come from, and to be able to adjust to the new norms and just say, you know what, that's the new norm.
Yeah.
We have to learn to coexist with the things that we really cannot change, and we have to really ask God to grant us the serenity to do that, because trust me, it could send you up a wall. Imagine you know how to pitch the marbles, play the hopscotch, play wind ball cricket or green nutmeg or breadfruit cricket and so on.
Yes.
That give you that kind of a vibes. You go to the river, jump the river stones and do different things. And you know how enjoyable that was? You know, knock yourself, get a little scratch, a little abrasion someplace, and you fix it up, put a little thing and wash it out, and you're gone again.
And you forget it and you go back, do the same thing tomorrow.
Yeah, and you ride the cut. I remember doing those cuts and so on, those four-wheel cuts. You cut the breadfruit thing and put some things, and you ride those stuff. You know, you cut the wood and you put some tire over it, and you fall, you scratch. That was fun. But today it's a different kind of a fun. People decide, well, let's stay on the inside. They start the bleaching without using any chemical, because they're not getting the natural ray of the sun.
I had one of my little sons ask me today, what is a bus tour?
A bus tour? Yeah. Wow.
I mean, I was telling them, I when I was young, I would have played in the streets and bump your toe on a stone.
See, you don't know
but
that,
you go
right?
back, play the same football in the road tomorrow with that toe that was. So actually, what I mean by that? Yeah. You understand? They don't experience that those ways.
Yeah.
You know.
And as you speak about that, something dawned into my spirit in terms of how well we are embracing the history that we have.
Yes.
And I consider myself not so old and still not so very young.
Yeah.
But when I put our recent history into context and I look at it, I realize that we're losing a lot of it. And I remember I was driving with some young people over the last couple of days, and I was speaking about some things. I know that's not too long.
Yeah.
And they don't have a clue.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. And I think, you know, and later on we're going to be speaking about how we care for them and the things around us. But as it came up, I look at the Esplanade, and that whole massive reclaimed portion of land, and you were walking right on that sidewalk, and the sea was right outside there. You could have dropped. And a lot of young people don't understand that that's where the sea was.
What are you talking about?
But there isn't a tablet or a pillar that identify or mark that kind of a history.
I agree with you with that.
Somebody just walking, not just for the tourists, but for us, you know that, look, that's where this thing used to be.
And you're correct. I had to explain that to someone the other day. I said, you know, where we were walking, coming from the tunnel. I said, you know that the sea was just
right there,
just right
behind the wall. Yes.
Right I remember walking as a youngster using that beach on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks would think, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know?
And I told him, I remember one time when one of the expo that Sir Eric Machigiri held, there was a beach that was made right on the Carnage. They brought sand there, and you had umbrellas and beach chairs right on the Carnage for Expo. And that was, he had Expo around Easter time. I think Expo 69 thereabout was the major Expo. But I think coming forward, I remember when they were doing the greasy pole and all this jumping from right off where the boats are on the Carnage and so on. And that area, they dumped it with sand and everything, nice white sand. There was a beach for a good while.
I remember then it moved on to what they call the Easter Water Parade. You remember those days? Remember they had some man called himself the Birdman or the Kite Man?
The Kite Man. And that is where that initiative spilled from, the Expo situation.
Okay.
And they had the Easter Water Parade and stuff.
I remember.
So those are some of the little history that we kind of miss, and there are no markings that really say to you, these are the things that happened before. The tourists come here and they could read off. You could get a picture of what the Esplanade used to be, and show them where the old pitch pine bar was. You heard about the pitch pine bar?
I heard about it. I remember it.
Just there.
Carnival time, I used to be hanging in Mr. Burger.
A young man. What a young man are you talking about, man? Anyway. So, yeah.
I mean, you know, we happy for development in the country.
Of course.
We always say, I don't think nobody will be unhappy for the country to be developing.
Yeah.
But keeping the memory of our beautiful island is important.
I think it's really
some way that we can go back and always and remember it some way or the other. You know, pictures there, I'm not sure, I haven't visited the museum lately, but I hope there are pictures in there that you could go back and always review it and get the memory come back.
And I also think that while the drag racing is a wonderful initiative for Grenada, but I think we lost the essence of where our first landing place was. And I think the Paul's Estrella should have been some massive thing there. Maybe blow it up to a point where you show the first plane or planes that landed or took off from that area, and
something
what
of a museum nature
used to be like.
Nature, yeah.
I mean, I clamored for them saving the history of the revolution as well, aspects of it and spoils from it and so forth. All of the things that the revolution had, the weaponry, etc., that was taken away from us. And the planes from Cuba and Russia, lately they're kind of fenced it out when it's almost gone to rubber. And the plane was there intact. The seats, people took some of the seats, but it was a complete plane. You could have seen Air Cubana and everything there written and all those stuff. And I think we are so slow in generating our history that when our young people decide to stay on the inside now, GT, we're blaming them. But what do we create outside to generate their interest?
So there's that generational gap that needs to take the blame, eh?
Of course.
That needs to take the blame.
And some things, they're not totally lost. I think we can do a lot to recover some of
It's not too late. It's not too late, but it needs to get started. That's what you need to get started.
Yes.
It starts like the conversation we're having now, and that's a conversation, and then we get that practical part of it going. Where folks get the necessaries and keep that coming, keep it going. Because we need to be, there are countries who dwell on their past a whole lot in terms of their history.
Yeah.
And it makes them feel good as a people.
Because there's an old saying that says if you don't know your past and you're in the present, you probably wouldn't know too well where you want to go. So your past should impact your current, and your contemporary should actually give you the vision for the future as to where you really want to be.
Folks may not have to be saying this, but sometimes I think it's one of the things that's hindering us as a people in terms of that further growth. Us not embracing our past a whole lot. I think we dwell on what's to come too much, but not what has gone, and trying to and seeing the ways so we can fix what has gone and make it better for what's to come.
If you have a house and you did not build the foundation properly, and you just decide to make it nice, you just decide to paint it and put a heavier roof on it, what do you think is going to happen eventually?
It's going to come down.
So you need to figure out how the foundation was built, whether or not the foundation was built to accommodate that structure that you intend to do for future to have an investment.
I was having a conversation with some folks around my age range the other day, and we were talking about the same thing, and they say they remember, they think we have lost ourselves a wee bit in the 90s.
Yeah.
They say when cable TV came to Grenada, everything changed. Because they were saying before that, we knew little of the outside world, as much of it. Not that we didn't know anything, but we knew very limited amount.
Yes.
When we got to having that cable TV coming in, we saw what's going on in America and the music that we were influenced by, and we want to dress like what we see others and do what we see other people are doing.
Yeah.
I think that when the change.
I think while I would agree, I could have a strong sense of disagreement. I think the gap there, the generation gap or the gap that we can't really bridge, has to do a lot with leadership and Hannison initiatives. I mean,
all that encompasses a lot of it.
Able to marry what past, what is current, because what we had to do was, if we have very insightful planners, we realize, listen, our system, we're going to lose this. Because when I came to Hurricane Ivan in 2004, I said to the folks that were up at Mount Weldon with me, I said, listen, folks, we will have 3 Grenada. I said the one which we knew, the one that we're seeing now, and the one that is to come. So what that is saying then...
And aspects of it is showing its face already, yeah?
Absolutely. We need to have tried to remember and document what was there. We need to have also register and document what's the current during the period that we are doing the recovery. And now, the new phase as to where Grenada has gone into, that too is the new phase. And so they're 3 different dimensions altogether.
And I agree with you there 100%. 100%.
Our structure catered for us, projecting and planning that kind of way. A lot of things that we lost, we're not going to lose it. So it's not that the world will change around us. It's inevitable that changes will come. He that is not subject to change is ignorant of life, because that is a process that is inevitable. But what we have to be able to do is, when those changes come, everything of the past is not bad and everything of the past is not good. So we cannot say, let's go back to everything that we did in the past. It just wouldn't work in the now. But we have to be able to take out from the past what we could still use for the now to also influence the future of where we intend to go.
And someone will come up and say, we ain't going back there.
Yeah, and they could be right. But there are a lot of things that we need to go back there for.
Yeah.
I can tell you, because the values that we had some of the things, for instance, I was saying to Janelle on the program which she hosted with me, that there is this new norm that people are trying to say, was it you or Janelle? I think it was Janelle.
It was probably Janelle.
When people were saying morning time. And I said, morning time, as a new greeting.
Yeah.
I said, no, we grew up saying, good morning, pleasant good morning. It means I want you to have a nice day.
Yeah.
But if you just say to somebody, just morning time, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And I heard it from a few people very well. They just went, Mr. Mark, morning time? And I was like, no.
What is they talking about?
What are they talking about? So if we kind of slide away from that cultural norm that we grew up with, where we greeted each other pleasantly, wanting to wish somebody a wonderful day, if we take that new approach, we're going to lose that connection with each other and that feeling and that personal way of an interaction with each other and wanting to be able to wish people well. So if we just come and just say somebody, that's what I know it's morning time, but I want to say to you, have a beautiful or wonderful day.
I agree.
And saying it.
And it goes with the influence that we've been having. Eh?
Yeah.
You know, the bigger wars, as some folks would say, the influence that they put on the small countries.
Right.
That's what the problem. Mr. McIntyre, we might do this for the whole program. Let's take a break.
And we do really short our flowers and the focus.
Yeah, so let's take that break and then we come back. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. Don't touch it out.
Climate change is real. Storms are getting strong.
Grenada, the road to greatness continues. Catch the senior men's national team live at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium for 2 thrilling football clashes. Saturday, May 31st, it's a fiery international friendly as Grenada takes on Anguilla, just $20 admission. Then on Wednesday, June 4, it's our FIFA World Cup qualifier versus the Bahamas, $25 admission. Both matches kick off at 7 p.m. sharp. Come dressed, come loud, come proud. Style your national team, bring your posters, and show the world you are the 12th man. Let's pack the stadium, flood the stands, and roar together. Get your tickets now at the official GFA ticket outlets. Go to Fed.com or at the gate. Let's stand proud with Team Grenada. One island, one team, one goal.
Sporting fans, ready yourselves for the most anticipated Winston-Tide games, June 7th and 8th at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Come support our athletes as they compete with some of the region's best in the field events and on the tracks. Save the date, June 7th and June 8th, Winston-Tide games at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Stay tuned for more info. Winston-Tide game 2025. The Mass officially starts now as Spice Mass Cooperation together with Aura Caribbean is turning up the thing all the way up with Carnival City Fusion Thursdays. It all kicks off on Thursday, May 29th and continues every Thursday into June. We're bringing the vibes to the Port Louis lawn. Gates open 7 p.m. Action starts 8 p.m. Get ready for live performances from your favorite soca, groovy and calypso artists, plus the sweet sounds of steel band, live bands, and all the mass elements you love. Veko, Jab Jab, Short Knee, Moko Jumbi, Apache, and more. It's more than a line. It's a whole carnival experience. So grab your crew, bring the energy, and come let's celebrate where culture meets pure excitement. Carnival City Fusion Thursdays, Port Louis Lawn, beginning May 29th and continues every Thursday into June. Come, let's play a mass, cause the thing starts.
Hello everyone, I would like to welcome you to come join us next Saturday at King of the Grill. You can sample our wonderful Divine products and many other products that we offer at Budget Food. Again, next Saturday, King of the Grill. See you there.
GBN presents the 2025 Maggie King of the Grill, Saturday, June 7th, Montrouge Plainfield from 11 a.m. Our partners, Maggie, the secret of great flavor, Grenada Distillers Limited, makers of Clark's Court, Grenada's #1 rum, Grenada Paper Products, makers of Cherish, Spring Soft, Harbour Bay and Super Value Toilet Paper, and Royal, Quick and Easy and Horizon Paper Towels, Budget Foods Inc., Classic Lighting, and Blue Bubbles PA Rental and Event Supplies. It's the 2025 Maggie King of the Grill, where flavor rules.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point here on Classic Radio GBN TV. Mr. McIntyre, welcome back.
Yes, sir.
you know, we spent the first segment of the show talking about some stuff. It was important. And it was good.
Think it was good.
I certainly enjoyed it.
I like the rapport with you. And I think a lot of our listeners and followers, they're probably enjoying the
I enjoyed that a whole lot. You know, it brings back a feeling to you, especially sometimes it triggers certain things in you that you say.
But I speak about feeling. I just had the feeling that even Carnival itself and the jab and the mass that is going on all around every time, I just think that is also losing the real essence of Carnival, because in the past, you looked forward to Monday and Tuesday to play a mass.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing now is that mass has been played. People dress up like mass throughout the year, and then once Carnival season is launched, people play mass and they
lost the whole momentum about it.
So there's no real hype or vibe, in my opinion, going into Carnival for the 2 days in August. So that is something that I think we should really revisit, that whole aspect of the anticipation. I think that the aspect of the culture, the shows, the calypso, momentum and this kind of thing, a lot of more emphasis should be placed on that, and allow the masquerading and those things to move its way into Carnival Day. If I am to be corrected, our law has not been repealed that playing mass is for 2 days, from 05 on the Monday to midnight on the Tuesday.
I agree.
Those are mass days, and somebody could correct me that the law has been repealed or changed to reflect that. But I think when you have mass playing all throughout for 2-3 months, what is the anticipation? And so there's a lot of little things that we need to
because when you get burnout from May, June, July, and then August, Monday and Tuesday comes for Carnival Monday and Tuesday. That vibe that you want for Monday.
You see mass so regular, you see jobs so often.
I know. Maybe we get to know Mr. Mac.
Oh, maybe. I don't think we are. I think we are very insightful. I think we have.
I just have a different perception of it, and I some people may take us to task for that.
Yeah, I want them to take us to task.
They take us to task.
The conversation need to be had across.
And folks may feel, well, we hinder them from wanting to do what they want to do. I'm not hindering you, but I'm just saying I will go into the part of the premise. There's time for everything.
Yeah, man.
You understand?
Yes.
There is a time for everything.
Yes.
And I think we have just allowed it to deteriorate for all these years.
Yeah.
And then you want to fix it.
Yeah.
And if your tire pops and you're rolling in it still, you know what happens, right? You want to get a whole new one, and then you.
and GT, I am one of those that believe that. It says all things are possible with God, right? I still believe that things are possible. It becomes more difficult at particular times to achieve it, but it's not impossible for change to take place. It might be more difficult. Now, if you have an issue and you didn't deal with it now, if you deal with it now, it probably is easier, but as time goes, it becomes more difficult. But that doesn't mean
it's like a health problem.
That doesn't mean that you can't fix.
It's a health problem sometimes. You ignore it for too long, it gets to a stage where it becomes unrepairable.
Yeah.
You understand? And I think that's the stage that we're getting to.
And finally, Mr. GT, we had a long intro. Yeah. I think we wanted to give a little bit of flowers, and I have a bit to give to Youth Emergency Action Committee, that's YAC.
Yes.
A lot of focus sometimes is not mentioned about youth, but over the last couple of days, they have been focusing on some aspect of development as we enter into the hurricane season.
Yeah.
They have been looking and sharpening their skills as to if we have events and how to respond and to complement the national entity and response mechanism to deal with situations when they come. So this morning I want to give them a little bit of flowers.
Okay,
in addition to that, our wardens on the street, I think we always kind of bash them a lot. They're not trained police, but they do a great deal in maintaining our traffic.
Yeah.
And I look at them in the Grandlands area and how well sometimes they handle some things, and I want to give them a bit of flowers. My only concern, I have a little bit of concern for the one by the Radisson. I think there's a risk that the person standing in that street on mornings pulling that traffic. It only take one person to gaze at their phone or otherwise and knock that young lady or young man.
Or you're saying maybe it should be more than one at a time?
In the middle of the street. Or maybe what the authority should look at is elevating that position temporarily. Maybe get a stand.
That's interesting.
Put it there, make it like a roundabout, and the one can go up and direct for the few minutes, so that person is safe. They are elevated a bit more, because when you have the higher vehicles and things coming, that little officer standing in the middle there is subsumed like with all of the things coming around. So it's easy for somebody to veer off and knock that person down. We don't want. My thing, I always try to see things before it happens.
Yeah.
And I think the officers doing that thing, the safety is of paramount importance. You see people coming across. I mean, if you knock an officer down, I mean, you don't want to live with the consequences, maybe. But then again, the person who get knocked down will live or probably not live with those conditions. So things that we can alleviate or minimize, we should do it. So if we think that that's a point where the traffic need to be controlled by somebody, a person, the people from the South St. George, they can make a stand or something.
That will
elevate the person, and they go into the middle of the
visibility.
Yes, please. And they can direct the traffic for the period of time. And when it simmers down, they can slide it off, maybe to the side or take it back, and then they replace it again. I think that's one of the things that should happen.
All right. So McIntyre, of course, we already lost at least 30 minutes into our program already, so but we need to go.
Yes.
We need to go. We want to continue on what we started. Now, of course, you had that with Innocent last week. You started that in terms of, hurricane season. It's been declared open.
Yes.
The 1st of June was yesterday. Today being the second day of June. So we're now officially into the hurricane season.
Yes.
And preparation is the key, sir.
Yes.
Preparation is the key, how you prepare for what's approaching. As simple as it may sound, it represents a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
What can make a difference in your survival, just in case.
Right.
We're not hoping that it will happen, but whatever happens, once you're prepared, there's always that way of handling it better than being unprepared.
Yes.
Where do we go from there?
So we started the program speaking about before the hurricane season, or before you have something actually happen, some preparedness things you can actually do. We also spoke of the predictions for the 2025 hurricane season, which is on average 13 to 19 systems are likely to come through. That's an above average season. And among them, you may have between 7 to 10 of them that are likely to become hurricanes, and 3 to 5 of them are likely to become major hurricanes. That means hurricanes packing winds of in excess of 110 miles per hour. That's a prediction. Also, the list of the storms for 2025, they are here as well. But in my analyzing of the situation and conditions, I think we have to be recultured in a way that people need to rethink to make it most effective in terms of what we say, how we say it. When we speak of the hurricane season, we try to channel our people's mind that you're looking at hurricanes. But I think we should rename that whole structure to call it the tropical cyclone season and not hurricane. Mm-hmm. Because people tend to believe, in my opinion... You did mention
that in the last program. It may be better than saying tropical cyclone season than just the hurricane season.
Because tropical cyclones that happen, packing winds in excess of 38 miles per hour when you get a tropical storm generating. Otherwise, even tropical depression, tropical waves that come through, they also have some kind of impact. And I think what they can do for us in the tropics, maybe we can rename that to the tropical cyclone season that starts from X and ends at that period. Yeah. To me, it is more user friendly and it brings out the reality. But in all of this, in the pre-preparedness, we just had Hurricane Beryl. In exactly 30 days or 29 days from now, Beryl will be like 1 year.
1 year.
And I look at some things that happened with Beryl and some that can impact. And we have we have a little video and some pictures of one of the impact of Beryl that really created some impact on one of our national sites that we visit. That's the Seven Sisters waterfall.
Okay.
I visited that area, and maybe Master Control will put it up sometime.
Pop that up for us as we speak.
So as we speak, I think there's a lot more in terms of the impact that has happened that we need to be mindful of, that can continue to be a hazard and that can continue to produce threats to people.
Yeah.
Have we really done sufficient for the last 11 plus months, the impact of Beryl, so that hazard does not continue to exist in 2025?
Yeah.
And I think we need to really revisit that, and a campaign should have started and should be ongoing, looking at some of the things. I looked at the Seven Sisters, one of our tourist attraction sites.
Before you move on, I hope Master Control, I think there's a video in relation to our conversation right now.
Yes.
You can pop it up while we could probably just narrate on it as a video been shown. Yes. So Master Control, you could probably pop that up in the instance still.
Mm-hmm. And that's just one of those that I recently went into that area and I visited and I said, what a beautiful place. We have those waterfalls that our locals and our tourists go to. But with the strong impact of the wind, you had this massive tree that came down.
Yeah.
And it's perched right over the fall itself. A couple of years ago, there was a log that was lying there, just heading downward towards. In this case, you have this one that is just bent over and down into the fall. What's happening now that people who visit the area, they're still going, the guys are jumping off from on top that fall down to the bottom.
And no one has attempted to remove it. It's going on almost 10 to 11 months.
That's correct. And it is not impossible to remove. The forestry and national parks and all these things, I think an effort should be made. It kills the natural beauty of the waterfall itself. It takes out from the pressure of the fall. It produces a hazard to the people who want to enjoy to swim, not in just one falls, but in both falls that are close, that in close proximity. There are some of the things at the bottom, and that massive tree is just hanging there into that. I swam up to it, went on, and so forth. And if you look at it, as the bottom deteriorates, the entire tree itself could just come down at any time, and people could be around.
You never know, someone could be thinking that it's okay, and you never know when these things could be moved by the water pressure at a particular time.
That's correct. And I'm just thinking that those are some
I'm not sure why we're not getting a video or footage of it from Master Control, and I'm sure there's some issues why. But I certainly do understand where you're coming from with that.
So that's just one of them I'm speaking about, and hopefully as we speak, as the conversation expands into how we can, be environmentally ready and be wardens of the environment ourselves after we've been impacted by such a strong hurricane or otherwise. How well now are we prepared going into this tropical cyclone season, that if we do have those strong winds again and we have rain coming, what kind of dangers are we exposed to? We look at the Grand Tang recently, where some works have been undertaken.
I was up there yesterday,
and I
noticed that there was some power outage up there, so I had to go and do some resetting of equipment up there for a bit.
Right.
And then you saw some of the slides that taken place. And you did speak about that shelving of the
terracing the area and
I said on driving I said what Mr. Max said is correct. If that was done initially, we probably would not be having the problem.
That's correct. That's correct. And so if you do it in that way, you bench it back. It takes it's a project.
Yeah.
You cut it further back in. Now, even if you have some slippage taking place, it will not come into the road surface.
It will be minimal.
It will be minimal.
Yeah.
And if you do break, it stays on the third level or the second level before it gets into the final and onto the road space. So
not obstructing the movement of traffic.
Not obstructing the movement of traffic and blocking the drains and the waterway that you'll have. So we do things sometimes a bit hard because we have a project timeline to achieve, and we have some funds, and we want to sometimes say we want to make the best of it in terms of distance.
Yes.
But we don't think about the quality of what goes on. So as we go deeper into the hurricane season or the tropical cyclone season, I want to remind persons, as we spoke of the before, the during last week, Innocence and I chat about it, and the after.
Yeah.
A lot of times after an impact, people become disaster tourists, and they would just go out with cameras and other things, and other people will be walking aimlessly. Some who are traumatized or otherwise might be just walking around aimlessly. And it's one of the things you don't want to do immediately after you've had a tropical cyclone impact.
Yes.
You want to wait on the authority for the all clear. You want to not congest areas, because the emergency response people, they would need to go out. They may have to do search and rescue. They may have to do clearance that could be a bit dangerous. But one of the critical things I would like to really mention is the aspect of regaining communication. A lot of what we do still, our lines are overhead.
Yes.
They are very vulnerable. We have our lines for communication on poles.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, as we had the conversation even with Glen a couple days ago, that having some things embedded underground and making some of our structures that are more critical, more secure.
Especially at high elevated areas where we'll feel the brunt of the winds and so forth more.
Yes.
I would agree with
that. Is something that has to be looked into, because when you have down power lines, people come out, and because they want to make access from one point to the other, they cut those power lines. And I know Glen and the cable and the other service providers, companies, they would say to you, do not cut those lines except it become absolutely necessary that somebody is at risk in somewhere that you do that. But by all means, try to shift them to the sides and just make it just wide enough so that you can have access rather than cutting them. When they are cut, it delays the process of regaining and reconnecting people within the shortest possible time. Those electric power lines, if they are not broken, it is easier to get them going up. Similar with the cable and the other lines and so forth, the connection that we get through for our regular phones, if those are not damaged, even our cell sites and so on, they require some level of connectivity so that the transmission of signals could be brought in from one point to the other. Now, if people cut off the access that gives power to them or otherwise, those things as well will be greatly hampered.
Yeah. So that's and it lengthened the restoration time.
Yeah.
You know, where if we didn't want to tamper with it, which you could have done in a couple of days after, it takes weeks, sometimes months, because of individual. Companies may get to the point where they have to buy new equipment to replace.
Absolutely.
Where the older one, maybe some minor maintenance could have taken care of that in a matter of days and have it back up and running.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Sometimes not because it tumbles to the ground means it's destroyed. You understand?
Correct.
Sometimes it could be easily put back into use.
Yes. And that's one of the things I really want people to remember that you should be mindful of, and tell your community people and so on. When the lines are down, one, some of them may have energy, they might be energized, and it could be dangerous. Yeah. And two, if you break them or damage them, it could retard or slow down the process of regaining communication.
Some folks may be just seeing the idea for doing this as a clearer path.
Yeah.
You understand? But not always the best thing to do. And you know, it's also the issue too of listening to the authority.
Yes.
That plays an important part.
Because
folks get around doing things without the authority giving that the relative permission to do it. I'm going to clear the road because I think it's blocked, but sometimes the authority may have to come and do that assessment first.
Yeah, and I'm sometime in my lectures when I speak, I said we are people who like to help. There are two things about us in Grenada. I know our culture, we like to help, and the other part of us, we fast. We want to go and see what's happening to mind somebody's business or otherwise. Yeah. And the other aspect of it that I want to mention is that taking people's thing without authority is also stealing, and taking things after some kind of a disaster or something happened is called looting, and looting is also illegal, and people can be arrested, prosecuted, charged, sent to court, and gone to prison for doing those things. So it's one of the things that people should not
Why do people always think that is the first resort or the first thing they want to do after disaster?
To loot?
To loot.
Because there are a couple of reasons why people do that. I mean, the human nature. Yeah. As a matter of fact, after Hurricane Ivan, I understood how people might have felt. Because I can tell you, I was a disaster coordinator then. And when I looked at what was happening to Grenada, I felt a sense of desolation. Yeah. When we looked around from where we were at Mount Weldale, we felt that Grenada was lost, that we were the only people alive. Yeah. And so what happened, you get a sense of anxiety and apprehension. Let us try to get as much as we could because we're the only people alive, and we need to stay alive as long as we could.
And you may be thinking, well, you know what? Food, or
nobody will be getting this. There wouldn't be food for a long time, so let's get some of this. So I think our authorities have to be able to send information more to people, try and let people know that it is something that you really don't do, and as quickly as you could get information across to reassure them that the country is still intact. And I remember after Hurricane Beryl, I was up at NADMA's EOC and the Prime Minister was there. We walked through the entire system. And throughout the night and early in the morning, when we couldn't get communication, the Prime Minister's intention then was to get information to the nation as he was doing before the impact, letting them know what's happening and so on. So information keeps people confident that we are going to be taken care of. And I remember when we lost communication and he could not have gotten to the Commissioner of Police and the rest of his team, etc., his intention was, let us be able to connect each other so they understand the Prime Minister is intact, he is safe, the authorities are intact, they're there, and we need to be able to communicate and let people know that the country is still intact. Yeah. And I remember in 2004, similar, when Hurricane Ivan occurred, my first intention was to connect with police headquarters. We went up there to connect with the police headquarters. The next thing we tried to ensure that the Governor General, and the other thing was to ensure that the Prime Minister was also informed, aware of what's happening. Because the last time I spoke to the then Prime Minister was just the evening of Hurricane Ivan, the Tuesday evening, and he asked me how long we're going through this again.
Yeah.
And then the phone went down and we had no communication. So then understanding what needed to happen, my first focus was to ensure that the national security apparatus is back. We are able from a disaster entity to be able to communicate. And again, these are some of the things that people should run through their mind. How do we communicate and how do we keep the information process flowing, that we are able to know that people are not going to come and just loot us and kill us. People are not going to invade us from outside, otherwise our security system is intact. That the hospital or health facilities are intact and our nurses are taken care of and they're there to be able to help us and so forth. So those critical entities, health, national security, etc., those are the two foremost things that people need to be reassured of. That if something happened to me, I know that I can be taken care of. And if something should happen, I know that there's a mechanism that's there to prevent it from happening. So after a system has gone, the process of communication is critical, and we must ensure before that you have means, you have your little battery operated or your solar operated, so that you can connect with the authority to find out and to know what's happening. There's so much, but I think coming to the end of the program midway, we have to give a little space for people to give us a little calling.
Yeah, and we also drew for a break.
Another break,
you know, and I like the idea where you come across it with some McIntyre, because sometimes, and you said that the after effect is crucial, and if we as regular people could do things that can help to bring that communication back before, than making it more of a problem.
Yes.
It certainly will go a long way.
Yes.
You know, the little that you may understand, hey, I shouldn't remove that particular line from there, I shouldn't do this, because, you know, it gives the folks in the, you know, let's say the service providers.
Yes.
It certainly would help them to restore faster. Then we cut in those lines and it causes a problem more than and bring more problem than we should.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's take that break. When we come back, we can do it more. And of course, when we come back, the lines will be open for our listeners and viewers who may want to make a contribution to the program this morning. 435-2041 when we return. Don't touch it out, folks. Grenada, it's what we've been waiting on. The countdown to the Maggie, King of the Grill. It's back at his legendary home, Montrouge Plain Field. Grand Dance on Saturday, June the 7th. The Flames return with grill masters battling for glory. All the action starts at 12 noon. Then from 6 p.m., we go stateside for live entertainment by the Caress Band. It's food, fun, and flavor, all powered by Maggie. Loads of attraction for the kids, bouncy castle, games, and plenty of fun for the little ones while we indulge in smoky goodness. Don't miss the vibe, the flavor, the fierce competition. King of the Grill 2025 is back and better than ever. It's the King of the Grill 2025. Maggie King of the Grill, brought to you by Maggie, the secret of great flavor. Grenada Distillers Limited, makers of Class Coat, Grenada's #1 rum. Grenada Paper Products, Classic Lightning Caribbean, Grenville Cooperative Credit Union, Budget Foods, where quality and affordability call home. Sandals Resort, Flow, Glen Spring Water, Blue Bubbles PA Rentals and Event Supplies, Innovation Grenada Limited, and Rubus, Fuel and Grills in competition. It's the Maggie King of the Grill 2025. Be there.
Hi everyone, my name is Alpha Stafford. I'm the Managing Director of Innovation Grenada Limited, and together with Cater Pro, we are partnering with GBN Maggie's King of the Grill for the 2025 King of the Grill, taking place on the 7th of June at the Montrouge Plain Field. We're excited to be on board and to be partnering with them. So we're inviting everyone to come out and join us at the Montrouge Plain Field on Saturday the 7th of June. See you there.
GBN presents the 2025 Maggie King of the Grill, Saturday, June 7th, Montrouge Plain Field from 11 a.m. Our partners, Maggie, the secret of great flavor, Grenada Distillers Limited, makers of Clark's Court, Grenada's #1 rum, Grenada Paper Products, makers of Cherish, Spring Soft, Harbour Bay, and Super Value Toilet Paper, and Royal, Quick and Easy, and Horizon Paper Towers, Budget Foods Inc., Classic Lighting, and Blue Bubbles PA Rental and Event Supplies. It's the 2025 Maggie King of the Grill, where flavor rules.
Grenada, the road to greatness continues. Catch the senior men's national team live at the Karani James Athletic Stadium for 2 thrilling football clashes. Saturday, May 31st, it's a fiery international friendly as Grenada takes on Anguilla, just $20 admission. Then on Wednesday, June 4, it's our FIFA World Cup qualifier versus the Bahamas, $25 admission. Both matches kick off at 7 p.m. sharp. Come dressed, come loud, come proud. Style your national team, bring your posters, and show the world you are the 12th man. Let's pack the stadium, flood the stands, and roar together. Get your tickets now at the official GFA ticket outlets. Go to Fed.com or at the gate. Let's stand proud with Team Grenada. One island, one team, one goal.
Welcome back to our listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's To The Point, Classic Radio. We just have approximately just around 12 minutes or so left on today's program. Your phone calls are welcome. Yes. 435-2041. Any part of the conversation we've been having all morning, if you want to tap in on it in some way or the other. Of course, maybe highlight something that we have mentioned that you, of course, feel indebted to speak about, feel free to do so. You know, Mr. Mack, I'm seeing two messages here. Let me see if I could get them up quickly. Someone is saying, good morning, good program. In Ivan, some people that needed help did not get because their neighbors say they could afford it, and persons that was checking did not go further because you listened to just do your job. I did not experience Ivan, but my first floor house people, that house was destroyed. Mm-hmm. We got to look at each other in the disaster, not destroyed. Then love conquers all Grenada, and we God bless you. I sort of understand where they're coming from. Yeah. As I say, not everybody was able to help others.
You still hear that happening for Beryl?
Yeah, it was it. We do have our first caller. Caller, your life. Good morning. Welcome.
Hi, good morning, GT, and good morning, Mr. Mack. And let me congratulate you folks on a wonderful program again and the awareness, right?
Yes,
I just want to point out something to Mr. McIntyre, and that is something, you know, in your capacity as disaster coordinator. Well, I mean, when I say disaster coordinator, you know, being around in that field, you can do some research on it. You know, the Sylvan project. It has a component to it where all underground, where pipes were laid for all underground utilities in St. George's, I believe. And I'm speaking because of prior knowledge, you know, working in the telecommunication industry. So there's underground facilities for all of the communication as we talk about. And seeing that, you know, well, cable and wireless, Grentel is no longer, all of these pipes are idling around the island. In fact, we have there is a network of underground piping right around the island. I think, you know, in order to minimize some of the damages for, you know, that the overhead lines cause, the utility companies that exist now could look at utilizing some of these underground tracks. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And of course, happy that information will be able to be shared.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they would capitalize on that. And while we continue to have the overheads and so forth, it may take a while to transition into securing everything that should be secured underground. Yeah. But I drove up the East Coast sometime last week, and it really dawned on me the amount of trees that are over some of the lines in a lot of places, and I saw some of them over the East Coast. Mango trees, other trees, and so on, they're right over, and they're close. I drove through, I think, was it the housing area in La Colombe as well, and I looked at the lines where they were, and the trees up on that hill as well, they can just easily just topple over with wind because of the rains that we've been having, and so that could impact on power quite a bit.
Create an outage for the folks in the areas.
So the effort for grooming those trees, not totally removing them, but grooming them, I use the word grooming selectively, that is one of the concerns. And as we were speaking about our pre-tropical season, cyclone season and so on, these are some of the things that should be embarked on, not just by the utility company, but it has to be a national effort across that we remove those things that pose that level of threat. So if you
community groups could be formed and look at these things within your community, and of course, and I know that the authority may not have a problem with folks. Folks who have the know-how how to do it also.
Yes.
Just not anyone going to just go cut it down and then they may not be able to do it the proper way.
Right.
You understand? Folks that has the know-how to have that taken care of properly.
So we speak about the information and the information processes and how that should happen. And that's one of the things that we're lacking here. As I said, we have goodwill, we have good minds, good intention, wanting to help. But our help and our goodwill need to be channeled by the experts.
Yeah.
So if people are going to be moving trees, or otherwise they're going to be doing drains, they're doing things and so forth, it's not just a matter of saying, let us remove this, but it should be guided by some expert who know the know-how and what kind of impact it can have. And local knowledge.
We have seen what happened already by folks doing it by their own free will.
Yes.
And the problem is that occurred.
Even building your house by just maroon help alone and by church help.
And then your house falling, you realize, hey, I should have done that differently. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jay, and good morning to Mr. McIntyre. How you doing,
morning.
brother?
Yes, sir. Good morning. Today.
Something that I think we're missing out, especially when a hurricane pass, is a lot of waste meat. Some of our homeowners normally they have their fridge stock up with chicken and stuff like that.
Okay.
And when the power go for a couple of days or a week or more, that meat go to waste.
Yeah.
So I think it's best to stock up on more canned stuff and less on the raw meat.
Nadma will tell you that. Nadma will definitely do that.
Yeah, I think that's the best, because I know a lot of shops too had to throw a lot of meat after hurricane normally pass.
Yeah. Yes.
And something that a big loss most of the businesses will take. I mean, it's either they can get generators to get anything running or solar, but once you know the hurricane season starts, you got to make sure you do your check and balance. How much meat you buy, how much you don't buy, how much you do something like that, because bam, hurricane pass, you're going to lose a lot of money.
Yes.
On the drain like that.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Great point, sir.
It's one of the things that I would encourage before the hurricane season, that you try not to have stocked a lot of things that need refrigeration, but the dried stuff that is preserved.
Especially when you know we're in the particular season.
That's correct.
You have to have a sense of thinking different.
So the gentleman is on point.
He's on point to that.
And a second point, being a young man, well, I don't say young, I mean, I'm ready, but understanding that job thing, I believe that in a third world country, you ought to know that once you're giving a particular issue attention, that people are going to take that issue and make it a mockery.
Okay.
That's how they operate. So you try to give them less attention.
Okay,
I agree.
In the future, once you give them attention like that, they're going to try to make you a mockery.
Yes.
Have a nice day, brother.
Thank you, sir. Thank you a whole lot.
And as they say, job by nature is not resistant, but
It's rebellion.
Is rebellious. It's a resisting a system. So if you speak about them and you tell them don't do, they find the energy to try to do a bit more.
Yeah.
But that should not stop the authority to do what should be done. We cannot just allow anything to happen anytime, anyhow. It has to be done in the right way, in the interest of the majority. We have to take the steps to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I really want to commend the guys. I think a couple of years ago when we were in St. Andrews, and they were intending to swarm the tongue of Grenville. And again, they had some sense of organization and structure. Yeah. They were advised that it was not a good thing to do. Choose an alternative, and they did.
Yeah.
So even if they are rebellious in many ways, I think if you get to the leadership of those, despite there's
someone that
there's some structure and chaos.
Will always create that lead,
has some influence.
Lead element. Yeah.
Even if you have job, and they seem to be like devils and outrageous, but they do have some sense of leadership. And if you get to, especially the drums are the ones that generate the spirit. So if you get to the drummers who are, in most cases, the leaders of the process, and be able to speak to them in some way, you will be able to make some inroad. I can tell you, I'm speaking from experience with them. There are people who would listen, but you have to find the right time, the person, and the messenger has to also be appropriate.
Right. Let's take another caller. Maybe our final caller for the morning. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Just let me say, Mr. McIntyre does a very useful program, and it is appreciated. Just two things. I'm not sure if that's on the agenda this morning, but one is at all the pedestrian crossings, right? In particular, the one by the sugar, what we refer to as the sugar mill roundabout.
Okay.
Right? At night, when the vehicles are coming towards you and the lights are on bright, if someone is standing there or actually crossing the pedestrian crossing, they can't be seen.
Right.
That is so for literally all the pedestrian crossings. I don't think it should be a problem. What really needs to be done, there's a lot of lights, very bright lights, street lights being put up all over the island.
You're right.
They should probably put 4 at every pedestrian crossing because someone will be killed. I'm not saying maybe killed. At some point, so if there hasn't been any accident there relating to that yet, I have seen near misses there. I myself have nearly hit people crossing there because I couldn't see a light coming from another vehicle or even a light that stopped or moving. So I think it wouldn't be costly to, instead of putting some of the street lights all in other areas, they could just assign some to all the pedestrian crossings. And as I say, some are worse than others, but in particular, those in the Grand area because there's so much traffic and the lights are so bright. So that is one issue. Second issue is that, and I think Mr. McIntyre referred to the wardens on the crossing, the food fair crossing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would be very helpful, I don't know if it's possible, is that when that person is there, the lights should be turned off.
Okay, and they could do that.
Because I'm not sure if anybody in Grenada knows how to operate them, or in the past that used to happen.
Traffic can handle them.
Yes, so the light, because it has happened to me, and I have seen it happen to other persons, that they don't see the warden, and they continue driving because the light is green.
Okay.
One warden in particular gets very upset and gets angry when it has happened to me, and I've seen her get angry at another driver where it is not always the fault of the driver, because you looking at the light, you're not looking for anybody in the road, and you continue driving when the light is on green, and it creates a real problem.
Okay.
So thank you, and as I said, the program is very useful.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I really like the contributions for this morning's program. The callers are on point, and that aspect of the lighting hit home, right?
Yes.
You remember we mentioned that a couple programs ago.
Should be more lit. We didn't.
There should be. We said, and we still made a recommendation.
The painting should be more reflective.
That's correct.
You know,
and what the caller said in terms of even those solar lightings that we put in a few places, we should prioritize some of these lights to focus on the pedestrian crossings. You know, use the reflective yellow on those zebra pedestrian crossings.
Yes.
And have lights there so that you can see people going across. I mean, those points are well.
And another issue in terms of the traffic wardens, I have noticed that because most time the lights remains on,
right,
and they are calling the traffic. So you want to know who this is. Who should I follow?
Yes.
Is it the traffic warden, or should I follow the lights?
Right.
And it happens in the tongue of St. George sometimes. Sometimes the police will call you, and you see the light at red, so you wonder, should I go? And next thing they want to charge me for crossing the red light.
No. You have to obey. You have to obey the officer in uniform.
I understand, but sometimes you want to decide. So sometimes you see the light red, so you stop.
Yes.
And then they want
It's a natural reaction because they're used to obeying lights.
Yeah.
But whenever a police officer or warden is there in uniform, they are the override authority.
I understand, but I also feel, as the caller mentioned, the option of letting the lights be off if they know they're going to be using the officer or the warden to call the traffic. Yes. I think I recommend that should be done.
Yes.
Let's take another caller, or maybe our final caller. I think we have a caller via WhatsApp. Maybe our final one for the morning, and we take her up. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Go right ahead, please.
Good morning, GT and Mr. McIntyre.
Good morning.
I'm not sure that this is the time I should. And I think we, the elders, have let that family bond slip. I sent something for you on GBN to read. It's not very long, but I think we let the bond slip. That's why most of our children now, they don't know the history. They don't know how to react to elders, and they don't know that. So we need to pick up that bond, how we were trained by our grandparents and parents, the morals, the discipline, the manners. We should get back to that and help the children to understand that we're not bringing them back to the 80s, but we're letting them know what is right and how they should live. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kola. Appreciate that a whole lot. And she's correct.
Yes, she is.
She is correct. So, McIntyre, we got to go.
Yes, we do. And I just want to remind everybody to be safe, continue to be focused. We are into the official start of the tropical cyclone season. Ensure you sharpen up and you have things, power, water, communication. Those are essential. Think about how they can be affected if we are placed under any of those hazards that can impact and create a disaster.
Certainly so. And as you mentioned, preparation is the key. It's the key in the season that you should prepare on all levels.
Yes.
Be prepared. Mr. McIntyre, it was always a pleasure, as always, to do the program with you, sir. Until we do this again next week, once your money permits, health, strength, and everything else.
God bless.
We certainly will be back to do it for you once again.
So wouldn't that be with Monday?
Next Monday, right?
It would be with Monday.
With Monday?
Yeah.
So we will have a program, right?
We shouldn't. We normally are off on holidays.
We'll be off on a holiday.
So, and I'll be at the Whitsuntide game.
Yes. I did remember that.
Yes, well, Whitsuntide weekend.
All right.
Yes.
And of course, listeners and viewers, once again, we thank you so much for being part of our program today. Join us again. Join me, I would say, tomorrow for another edition of To The Point. Have a good one, folks. That's where we say goodbye.